What's up, everybody? This is Dave here with Comics Games Life, and today's video is on Absolute Batman issue number 4. Now, in this issue, we're given more of Batman's origin story. We've gotten pieces so far, but this delves a little bit deeper into why he's doing what he's doing. And in the opening scene, we have a young Bruce Wayne in court facing his father's killer, Joe Chill. And the judge is giving Bruce an opportunity to say what's on Bruce's heart and mind towards his father's killer. And in a heart-wrenching speech, Bruce goes on to tell him how on that day was the happiest he had ever been in his entire life. He had won a science and engineering competition at his school, which won his entire class a free day at the zoo. And his father, being his teacher at the time, was so proud of him. And Bruce goes on to share how in that moment, he feels like he could just stop time and live in it forever. And then his rage takes over as he's speaking. And then he goes on to tell his father's killer that all that was taken away from him by you. And that with everything he has, he absolutely hates him and doesn't care about the reasons why he went on that massacre. He can care less about what Joe Chill has to say because there's nothing that Joe Chill could say that would in any way be a good enough reason or bring peace or closure to Bruce's broken heart and shattered, scarred mind. So the story opened up with that scene, but we're going to jump around the timeline just a little bit. And we're going to see some parallels here with the thought process that a young Bruce had put into his science project that won him the competition, as well as an older Bruce when he's putting together a successful version of Batman. So initially when he put together this project, he built a mock version of it. And it was pretty much a bridge, something that could be used in third world countries or places where natural disasters have happened. And as he's working on this, his father comes by and takes a look at his progress that he's making so far. And so Bruce goes on to explain all the things that this bridge is comprised of, its strengths, its weaknesses. And during this conversation, they start to go off into his father's history and his desire of wanting to be a heart surgeon. And that's because of what happened to his father, aka Bruce's grandfather, that one day when they're at an amusement park, he suffered a massive heart attack and dropped dead on the scene. So Bruce's father at that moment wanted to become a heart surgeon to help prevent anyone else from going through that, any other child from suffering the loss of a parent due to heart issues. And while trying to chase that dream down, Martha became pregnant with Bruce, so reality set in and he wasn't able to pursue it. And that was okay by him because during this process, he was able to figure out what exactly he was or wanted to be at his core. And that was to be a teacher. And then he makes a joke to Bruce saying that maybe in another life, I was a doctor. And as we know, in another life, he was a doctor. And that's another thing I like about this Absolute universe so far. They keep making nods toward the traditional or the prime stories, which lets me know as a reader that they're not forgetting where they came from, but at the same time, taking that creative freedom to really show us something different, bigger, and bolder than what we might be used to. So after this interaction with his father, Bruce's mind starts to change a bit, and he decides to scrap the project because it's something about what his father said about knowing who he is at his core. I believe that's what inspired Bruce to move forward with this new design. Now, this mirrors Absolute Batman's debut into the world of crime fighting because his first look and design is something that didn't stick either. He wasn't this thick, dark knight that we see now. In the beginning, Bruce took his inspiration of the Bat into a totally different direction. As we witness in this scene, there's a group of thugs from the 10 Thieves gang, and they've captured some neighborhood business owners and have them on the top of this random roof in Gotham. And now they're intimidating them and they're trying to get some protection money out of them. But as we see in the background, they are not alone, as a screeching Batman leaps onto the scene. And one of the first things that he does is grabs one of the criminals and bites him on the neck. So in this first iteration, Bruce totally went the way of Dracula in this first setup, because after he bites this guy in the neck, he goes on and slashing guys with some makeshift claws that he has before finally ending with a gun pointed at somebody's head. Now, I'm not sure if he was actually going to pull the trigger. Before we're able to find out, some additional members of the 10 Thieves gang make their way onto the rooftop, or possibly some undercover officers, I'm not really too sure, but this causes Batman to flee the scene. Now where we see him next is back at his warehouse, and he's throwing everything into the fire. He's getting rid of the prosthetic fangs, the bat suit, the claws, and the gun. And he's thinking to himself, these theatrics, they're not enough and they're not working. He needs to make Batman bigger and better. So what follows along next is this montage of training, reconnaissance, and rethinking. So we see Bruce leave Gotham City and he's taking a look at the people and he's looking at what they do in their day-to-day lives. And he's walking in nature. He's just taking this time to reflect and to really find what he's doing or what he wants to be at the the core of himself, similar to what his father mentioned about being a teacher instead of a doctor. And when he completes this process, that's when he finally gets it. Now let's take another look back into his childhood after he scrapped that first project. Because just like the adult version, when he's come to the realization of how he should go about things pertaining to Batman, we're going to see that reflected in his second project that he does for the science competition. So as he goes back to the drawing board, he rebuilds it and keeps all the capabilities that it had previous, except he added some additional features. For starters, we have the look, because it looks futuristic now. It doesn't look like just a bridge. And second, it can fly. So this bridge device can be dropped from an airplane and fly its way down to the people and the areas who need it the most. And thirdly, it's lightweight. So the people who are on dire straits, they can manipulate it and build it and recreate it themselves however they see fit. They don't need an additional construction crew or the government to come help them at all. So it puts the power back into the people's hands to be able to save themselves from whatever disaster they might be going through. But along with its defense mechanisms, it also has offensive mechanisms as well, because on the end of each one of the wings, you have these circular saws. Now, I'm assuming that these can be used for cutting down trees or even cutting down bad guys, depending on what kind of situation you need these things for. But overall, when Bruce's dad sees this, he's impressed. And Bruce even asks his dad if he thinks that the circular saws are a little bit too much. And his father replies with, well, in this day and age, too much may be exactly what we need. Now, Bruce takes this motto and plugs it right into his new design of Absolute Batman, because he packs on the muscle and beefs up the gadgets, as we see in this next scene, where we have some gun smugglers driving a semi-truck through one of Gotham City's traffic tunnels, and they're in the cab and they're talking story, and they see something ahead in their headlights. And that's when they see Batman standing in the middle of the road, and he's holding this device, and what that is a remote control to the RC car that's quickly coming up behind the semi-truck. And once it gets into a certain position underneath the truck, with the press of a button, Batman unleashes an industrial hydraulic lift that sends the semi into the air. And once it comes down crashing, the criminals scramble their way out of the truck, only to be met by Batman, who delivers some Gotham City street justice. Although this is a job well done, Batman isn't satisfied by this, because he knows that these criminals are a symptom of a much deeper problem. And the root of this problem lies with the corrupt politicians, businessmen, and leaders of organized crime in Gotham City. So next, we're going to see Batman in a place where all of those people congregate, and that's at the annual Dance for a Better Gotham charity ball. Now, Batman is at the rooftop of one of these events, staring down through one of the skylights, and he has listening devices embedded all throughout the dance hall. And he can hear these politicians and businessmen and criminals talking to each other with hushed tones, coming to secret agreements, and pretty much robbing what little life and resources that Gotham City still has. And of course, this enrages the Caped Crusader. And while he's holding back his desire to just jump down and start just smacking everybody around, Gotham City's finest appear in a helicopter, which causes him to melt into the shadows. Now, in the final scene of this issue, we're seeing Bruce Wayne visit Gotham City Prison, and the person he's there to see is his father's killer, Joe Chill. Now, unlike the first scene, how the issue opened with, where Bruce expressed all the pain and hurt that he's feeling in his heart and mind, and told Joe Chill that he hates him and he doesn't want to hear anything that he has to say, years later in this moment, Bruce is all ears. And with that anger still alive within him, he confronts Joe Chill and tells him if he has something to say it now. And with that, issue number 4 is concluded. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. That really helps out the channel and is something I truly appreciate. Now I have some other videos on the way, so stay tuned for more. Don't forget to support your local comic and game shops, and I will see you guys next time.